Hello friends, in this video we'll go through inbound integration using OAuth 2.0 authentication. Before that we'll just have a look on basic authentication. In our previous videos we have used basic authentication only. Okay. In this basic authentication we'll make a request from the third party application to the ServiceNow instance, and when we do the each request, that time we send username and password, and we need to send this in all the requests made to the ServiceNow instance. Okay. And ServiceNow instance will send the response back to the third party application. If somehow the username and password is leaked, then this is a security issue because anyone with the username and password can access ServiceNow instance now. Okay. Now we'll have a look on OAuth 2.0 authentication. Here, the username and password is required only one time to get the access token and the refresh token. Okay. We'll make a API call from the third party application to the ServiceNow instance and get the access token and refresh token using the username and password. Okay. Once we get the access token and refresh token, now we can either delete the username password or we can just change the password. Okay. Now if the username and password is leaked, then also they don't get access to the ServiceNow instance because either the username password is deleted or the password is changed. Okay. Now we have the access token and refresh token. Okay. Now we'll use the access token to make the API call to the ServiceNow instance and get the data back from the ServiceNow instance. Okay. Now if the access token gets expired, then we have the refresh token. Using the refresh token, we'll make the API call to the ServiceNow instance and get the access token back again. And using the new access token, we'll make the request again to get the data from the ServiceNow instance. Okay. So this way, OAuth 2.0 provides more security than a basic authentication. Okay, in our demo, we'll use third-party application as Postman. So we'll make the API calls from the Postman and get the access token and refresh token from the ServiceNow instance. And using the access token, we'll make the API call from the Postman again to get the data from the ServiceNow instance. Okay. Okay, to begin with OAuth authentication, we need client ID and client secret from the ServiceNow instance. For that, we need to create one application registry. If we go to system auth in the navigation, then we see application registry here. So let me go there. Okay, now we'll create a new application registry. Here there are different choices. We'll go with the first one. We'll create an OAuth API endpoint for external clients. Okay, so external client in our case is Postman, and from Postman we'll call the ServiceNow, right? So we'll create this one. Okay, so we'll give it one name. So I'll call that as Postman API. Okay, now client ID is auto generated here. So if you want any client secret to be added, then we can add it. Otherwise, we can leave it blank. Then on save, this will be automatically generated. Okay. Now here we can see the access token lifespan. This is in second. So this is 1800 second. That is half an hour. So in half an hour the access token will be expired. Okay. If you want to make it less, then we can make it less as well. Okay. So we'll check that as well when we want to get the access token from the refresh token. So we'll see that as well. We'll reduce this and check. Okay. Now this is refresh token lifespan, and this is about 100 days. Okay. 100 days in seconds. Okay. So the refresh token is available for 100 days. Okay. So I'll just save this. So now we can see the client secret is generated. How to see that? If I click on this lock, then I'll see the client secret here. Okay. Now we'll use this client ID, this client secret, and we know the username and we know the password. Using this four, we'll make the API call to this instance and get the access token. Okay. But before that, we'll go to REST API Explorer and get an endpoint. Okay, I'll just get an endpoint to get the incident from the instance. Okay, so I'll just click on send. Okay, so we have the response here. Okay, I'll just add one more thing. Send number and short description. So I want to see only number and short description in the request. Okay, so now we'll see only number and short description. So we'll copy this URL, and now let's go to Postman. Okay, I'll paste the endpoint here. Okay, now I'll simply click on send. Definitely we should get user not authenticated error here. Okay, now if you want basic auth, then what we'll do, we'll go here and we'll select the basic auth and we'll give the username and password. Okay, but now we want the OAuth, right? So I'll go to headers, that is the request headers, and I'll add one header, that is authorization. Okay, and then I'll add bearer. Okay, and then space, and then we need to add the access token here, but we don't have the access token, so we need to get the access token. For that we need to make one more API call. So I'll just copy the instance URL and I'll go here I'll make one more API call, that is after the instance URL we need to add OAuth underscore token dot do. Okay. Okay, and this should be the post call. Okay, and we need to send the body here, the request body, and that should be of form URL encoded type. Okay, and we will get the token from the password. So we'll add one property here that is called as grant type, and grant type is we will use the password to get the access token. So that's why grant type should be password. Okay, and we should pass the username. Okay, and that is admin, and we should pass the password, and that's password $1, and we should pass the client id, and we have already generated the client id here in the application registry. So I'll copy this. Okay, and we need to pass the client secret. Okay, I'll just go back and copy the client secret generated. Okay, now I'll click on send. Okay, in the response we can see we have got the access token, we have got the refresh token, and we have seen the token type as bearer, and it expires in 1799 seconds, that is around half an hour. Okay, now we'll use this access token, and we'll go back here. After the bearer we'll add a space and then the access token. Okay, now I'll click on send. Okay, now we can see the response here. Okay, now it has given us the incident. Okay, as we have added only spam limit 1, so it is showing 1. If I add 10, then it will show me 10 incidents here. So we can see more incidents. Okay, now if this access token gets expired, then we need to get the access token from the refresh token. So for that, what we'll do is we'll go back to the Postman API application registry which we created, and we'll change the access token lifespan to 30 seconds from half an hour. And I'll just click on save, so that this will get expired in 30 seconds, and then we'll get the access token from the refresh token. Okay, so let's go back to the Postman again. Okay, now we can just see this expires in will change to 29 seconds after we click on send. Okay, now that is 29 seconds. I'll quickly copy the access token, and I'll go back to the main endpoint, and I'll paste the access token here. Okay, now I'll click on send. Okay, now we have the result here with the new access token. Okay, but this will expire in 30 seconds. So after 30 seconds, if I try, then this gets expired. Okay, so let me just try again. Okay, now we can see the access token got expired. Now we can't use this access token, so we need to get the new access token. So for that, what we'll do is we'll use this refresh token to get the new access token. Okay, now we'll not use the username and password, we'll use the refresh token. Okay, so for that, what we'll do is we'll make one more API call to the OAuth token endpoint. Okay, and this is the post call. Again, we'll add the body, and that is a URL encoded, and this time the grant type should be not password but refresh token, because we are getting the access token from the refresh token now. Okay, and then we need to pass the client id. Okay, and we have the client id here. Okay, we need to pass the client secret. Okay, let me just copy the client script from here. Okay, and then we need to pass the refresh token. Okay, and the refresh token is in the earlier API call. Okay, so let me just copy this, and I'll add it here. Okay, now I'll just click on send. Okay, now we have the new access token from the refresh token. I'll just copy that, and I'll go to the main endpoint again to get the incidents. I'll refresh that access token with this, and I'll click on send. Now we should get the data with the new access token. Okay, now we have the data here. Okay, again this will expire in 30 seconds. Okay, Okay. Now, if you want to remove this refresh token, we don't want to give access using the refresh token as well. Then what we can do is we can go to the instance in the system, or we have the manage tokens module. So let's go there. We will open the OAuth credentials table. Then we have access to the refresh token, and the access token created are stored here, and we can see the type refresh token. So I'll just open this. Okay. I want to expire this refresh token, so that using this refresh token, no one should get the access token. Okay. Now, if I see the expiry is there in the 3 months, now if I click on revoke access, that gets expired immediately. Okay. Now this is expired. Okay. Now if I go back again, and if I try to using the grant type refresh token, if I try to get the access token, then we don't get access. Okay, because that refresh token is also expired. Okay. Now, if you want the access, again, we need to use the grant type as password, and we need the username and password, so that we need to contact the administrator to get the username and password and client ID and client secret, and then only we can proceed. Okay. Okay, no, just for our understanding purpose, we'll make the third party application as another ServiceNow instance. Okay, so in place of the Postman, we'll use another ServiceNow instance, and we'll make the API call from this ServiceNow instance to the other one. Okay, now we have the this another instance, that is dev285525, that we'll use here as the target, and from this instance we'll make the API request, and to this instance we'll make the API. Okay, where we have already configured the application registry. Okay, now let's go back. I'll show that in the scripts background, but we can implement and do that in the script include as well. Okay. Okay, now we already know the refresh token initially is empty. We know the username, we know the password, we know client ID, and we know client secret. We'll take them in a variable, but actually we can add them to the system properties. So if you have not watched my common mistakes and best practices video, then you can go and watch that. Okay, now we can add these all to the system properties. Okay, now I'll create one function, get incidents. Okay, then okay, now here we can write the function. Okay, that is rest message. Okay, and then I'll make sm dot set endpoint. Okay, so we need to set the endpoint. Okay, now we need to set the http method, and the method is get. Okay, we are getting the incidents. Okay, now we need to set the authorization. Okay, that is set request header. Okay, set request header, and uh, the name is authorization. Okay, value should be bearer, and then space, and then we need to add the access token here. Okay, so we need to get this access token. So we'll query one, we'll call one more function, that is get access token. Okay, and then that will return us the access token, and we'll define that function here, function get access token. Okay, so we'll do this here. Okay, now we'll see that in some time, and then we'll say sm dot execute. Okay, and we'll just add the info, and we'll just show the status code. It should be response. Okay, response dot get status code. Okay, and then we'll print the response body. Okay, that is a response dot get body. Okay, now if I just send this, if I run the script, okay, we are not calling this, so let me just call it at the end here, and I'll just click on send, run script. Okay, so now we have the error 401 user is not authenticated, because this function is returning undefined. Okay, so now we need to call one more API here. Okay, so I'll do this. Okay, now the endpoint is I'll just remove this all. The endpoint should be OAuth underscore token dot do. Okay, and the method is post. Okay, and here we need to pass because we are sending the data as form URL encoded, we need to add the content type. Okay, and the content type is x hyphen www hyphen form hyphen then URL encoded. Okay, so we need to add this content type. Okay, then we need to pass the body sm dot set request body, and normally how we do, we pass that as an object. Okay, but here as this is a form URL encoded, we need to pass that as a string here. Okay, how we'll pass that as grant underscore type. Okay, and that will be equal to password, and then we need to add and then we'll say username. Okay, is equal to plus we have the username defined on top. Okay, then we'll say and password equal to we have the password on top, password, and then plus we'll say and client underscore id is equal to, and we have defined the client id as well. Okay, plus and let's say client underscore secret is equal to we have the client secret as well here. So let me just make them camel case, so not to get confused with the URL form params and these parameters which we define. Okay, so I'll make this as client id, and here we as client secret, client secret. Okay, and here we'll take the grant type. Okay, so what I'll do is if the grant type is equal to password, then we'll make this, we'll add this request body. Okay, else if grant type is equal to refresh token, and then we'll change the request body. Okay, now I'll just copy this and I'll do this, and grant type should be what, refresh token. We don't need username, so instead we need refresh token here, refresh underscore token, and then that should be refresh token here. Okay, and we don't need password, so we'll remove the password. Okay, then we need client id and we need client secret. Okay, now this will give us some status code here. So what we'll do is, okay, now if the status code is equal to 200, then uh, the response body will be the stringified body. So what we'll do is we'll parse it, passed rest body is equal to just parse, and then we'll add response dot get body. Okay, okay, and then we'll return past response body dot access underscore token. Okay, and then we'll store the refresh token as well. Refresh token is equal to parsed response body dot refresh underscore token. Okay, okay, now we'll do one modification here. At the top we'll take the access token as well, we'll store that also in a system property. Access token is equal to empty. Initially we don't have any access token, and here will not pass the function directly, we'll pass the access token. Okay, and here what we'll do is we'll call variable, not variable, we have the access token defined already. So access token is equal to, we'll call get access token, and then initially that is password. Okay, so initially we'll call that using password, and then we'll call the get incidents. Okay, so here we have passed the grant type, so we don't here we have passed the grant type, we don't need that. Okay, now what we'll do here is I'll say when the status code is equal to 401, that is unauthorized, right? So that time what we'll do is we will call the get access token. Okay, and now this time we're using the refresh token. Okay, because we have the access token already, so when we get the access token, that time we get the refresh token as well, and that we are storing. Okay, here we are storing the refresh token already in the system property, so next time we'll call it using the refresh token. Okay, now once if the API gets failed using 401 because access token is expired, then we'll get the access token again and store that in the access token system property, and we'll call the get incidents again here. So I'll call get incidents. Okay, and we have made one more mistake here. The content type should be application or the form and URL encoded. Okay, so it should be like this. Now let me just click on run script. Okay, now we have the result here for the incident. Okay, we have the one result. Okay, one small update here in the script, that is when we call the get access token using the password, that should be when the refresh token is empty. Okay, when the initially refresh token is empty, then only we'll call the access token function using the password. Otherwise that gets executed when the API fails with 401, then it tries to get the access token from the refresh token. Okay, so I'll just add access token is equal to here. Okay, now this time the access token is taken from the refresh token, and then using this access token the API call is triggered. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, then please hit the thumb icon and share the video with your friends, and add your valuable suggestions in the comment, and subscribe the channel for more videos like this. Thank you.